everybody. My name is Bousso Dramé and I come from Senegal, Dakar. And I'm very happy to be here and to be part of this amazing group. I came directly from Senegal to attend ECF, and I'm among the two happy recipients of the Mandela Scholarship with Johanna. So it's an honor and a privilege to be able to address you and share on a campaign that the Senegalese youth is currently fighting for. It's a campaign to protect the Senegalese waterfront. And this is a photo you have from one of the leading newspaper magazine in Senegal. And it's about a protest that we organized 3 weeks ago to protect the waterfront. But just before starting with the issue, let me please just give you a bit of introduction about the country before we start. So Senegal is a small West African country, which you see here in red, and we are the most western part of Africa. And it's a country which has 700 kilometers of beach, and we have sunshine all year round. So it's a beautiful country, there's a lot of tourism. And Dakar is the capital city of Senegal. As you can see here, Dakar is almost an island. It's surrounded by water. This is the capital city, and here you have the different parts of Dakar. And in this part of Dakar, this is what we call Fan. Fan is a traditional part of Dakar where we had the University of Dakar, which is here. You have several hotels on the seafront. And basically you have embassy area as well. A lot of embassies, foreign embassies are there, and a lot of residential, it's a residential area as well for the political leaders, for foreign political figures who come and have beautiful estate in the country. And Dakar is also a very congested city. As all growing cities in Africa, it's congested. We have traffic during the whole day. And unfortunately, it's a city which has very few green lungs. Basically, we have two major green lungs in the city. The first one is the Parc de Anne. It's a forestry park inside the city where people can go to spend Sunday with the family, you know, go to visit. You know, it's a very nice area, green area within Dakar. And the second green lung, it's not exactly green, but it's the seaside that we have. And this is what we call the Corniche. And the Corniche is Senegal's waterfront. And our former president, Léopold Sédar Senghor, used to say that the Corniche is one of the most beautiful Corniche in Africa because it's long, it's very nice. And the youth uses this Corniche as a place for recreational activities, for exercising. You know, families gather there on Sundays. You know, people go on the beach to grill fish among their friends and eat the fish with their hands. It's a very nice area where really there's a lot happening, and also it's a place where people go on the weekend and during the evening to exercise, to run. So, and the Corniche is very dear to Senegalese people because some public events are held on the Corniche. For instance, you have a big concert with our local pop star, with our local musicians. They would do it on the Corniche, but there's a designated area for that. And it's really part of the public memory. So here you have beach walkers in the evening, they exercise at the Corniche. And what happened is that we have had over the last 10-15 years numerous aggressions to the Senegalese waterfront. It started really in the years 2000 when we had a political transition in the country, and we had a new political regime which took power in 2000. And obviously the regime had a mantra which was economic development, because previously the regime we had before was more about political stability, good governance. The country never experienced a coup d'etat. We never had civil war. So it was a government, the previous regime was a regime of stability and peace. But economically, people felt like there was not much going on, especially with also the structural adjustment program that the country had to go under with the World Bank and IMF. So basically, when the new regime came in 2000, their mantra was, let's develop the country. And they did so. You know, we have a lot of infrastructure programs happening. They sold part of the waterfront to have hotels there, resorts, malls, etc. And here you have one hotel that is, that I'm not going to quote for obvious reasons, but that's a very beautiful 5-star hotel that was sold. And basically, we consider this as aggressions to the waterfront because the waterfront is protected by the Senegalese law. It is forbidden to have any construction on it, except when the construction is for public aim. For instance, the municipal council decides that there has to be a public basketball field, then they can build it because it's for collective use. But here we talk about aggressions because these are pieces of the waterfront which was sold to private parties, private investors, or even some people from the regime took pieces of the waterfront to build their mansions there. And we think that's inappropriate. So here you have a beautiful, another hotel, but by the way, with a beautiful pool overviewing the Corniche, but they really seized a major part of the waterfront to build a hotel. And a few weeks ago, actually this started 5 weeks ago, we just started seeing a wall being built on the waterfront. And we didn't really understand. All of us were a bit naive, like, oh, okay, maybe this is the municipal council building something nice for the youth. So we just didn't really pay attention to it until we started seeing the wall becoming bigger and bigger. And then there was the Turkish flag on the wall. And then we realized that this was going to belong to Turkey in some way without really understanding what happened. And it turned out that the previous regime, the regime that started in 2000, it was a regime that was in power for 2 terms. And they left power in 2012. So now we have another transition. So the regime that was in power between 2000 and 2012 sold this piece of land to the Turkish authorities so the Turkish could build their embassy on the waterfront. So now the current regime, which started his term in 2012, is having a problem because they are paying for the legacy of the previous regime. And basically this waterfront is going through another aggression. And everything started, really, the youth decided to mobilize against this aggression. And it all started online with a petition that is called Non au mur. Non au mur means no to the wall, against the wall, if you will. And basically, it's a petition that was initiated by a young lady whose name is Jeunesse Dakar Rêveuse, which is basically, if I would translate it in English, it would be the dreaming Senegalese youth, you know. And she started the petition talking about why it was important for Senegalese youth and the whole community to mobilize against this wall. It was not just the wall, but the principle of having the waterfront constantly being aggressed that we had to stand against. And basically, the petition overnight collected about 2,000 signatures. And the goal was to get 5,000 signatures. And I checked yesterday night, we're almost there, and maybe you can help. And we have about just 400 left. And the idea is to gather 5,000 signatures, take it to our mayor, and have the mayor be the spokesperson for this fight, because the mayor also has a say in this, and I'll explain later. So basically, this is the president, and this is the mayor of Dakar. And behind him, you have one of our activists who's holding a pancart saying, "Touche pas à ma corniche," which is "Don't touch my waterfront." And basically, the mayor of Dakar gave this press conference just a few days after the release of the petition to say basically that his authorities, his services, have not been consulted. And the way that Senegalese law works, as I said, there are exceptions. You can have a building on the waterfront if the building is for public purposes. But to do so, you have to consult with the services of the mayor. And there's an administrative process to have that done. And in this case of the Turkish wall, the process has not been respected. Basically, the services of the mayor has been bypassed. And we don't know how it happened, but basically it's the previous regime that gave the authorization. And the mayor was saying that basically there's not much he can do, but he's supporting the youth and supporting this fight. Okay, and this is a caricature. So to launch this campaign, we had a lot of artists supporting. And this is a caricature where they have the mayor of Dakar and the president having a discussion. And the mayor is saying, "I swear to you that as long as I'm the mayor of this city, I'm not going to let this embassy on the waterfront." And the president in the caricature is saying, "Do you think that the mayor is above the state?" Basically. So it's a debate between who really has authority. And it's about also accountability to the population. And we began by a first protest that we held a week after the release of the petition. And basically, we had to be strategic about that. We could not call it a protest in itself, because we would not get authorization, because the authorities were very sensitive about the issue, the Turkish embassy. It's about diplomacy. You know, the negotiations cannot be made public, and you cannot shame a partner country like this. So they were very reluctant to give us the authorization. And basically, the first request for protesting, because in Senegal, you can't just come and protest. You have to ask for authorization. And the first request for protest was refused. And then we had to be strategic, and instead of calling it a protest, we call it a walk, you know, a friendly walk. So basically, you have people walking with their backpack, and then this is the wall, and we invited people to come. And we did it on Sunday. We were not that many, because it was just the beginning of the movement, but still, we were very determined at this fight. So we came, and then we had a human chain to say no to the wall and to protect our wall. And we managed to also get mobilization from social media. So we had the biggest social media website, journal, online journal to come and support us. They took video footages, and we had the press, the written press as well, talk about this. And I can show you a quick video of that protest. We've got 2,000 views, and we are being interviewed by one of the major online publications in Senegal, wanting to know why we are fighting. So this is the guy you saw at the mayor, the council, holding his pancart, talking about why we are fighting. So this is me, and we have other people also who are part of the organizing community talking about why we are against this war. And then also we managed to get international media support. So here you have France 24, which is the major French broadcasting website and television. And they were interested in this fight, so they made an article on their website. They also broadcasted it on one of their news that's called Observateur, where they gather feedback from the ground from citizen journalists. So they talked about the war. We also had RFI, Radio France Internationale, which is the major French broadcasting radio, also do an element on the war, interviewing people, talking about why this is important. We had French journal La Croix also talked about it. And the reason why we wanted to have international media support is that somehow the way it works back home, if you do something very locally and you organize the local media, people will talk about it, the government will somehow pay attention, but when the pressure comes internationally, they really care more about hearing what you have to say. And I think on this point, it's been going quite well. We also had strong mobilization on social media. We have several Facebook pages that were created. We created a hashtag that's called Non au Mur, which has been the fastest trending hashtag in Senegal's Twitter sphere. People following it, writing about it. People from even abroad Senegal are tweeting on the Non au Mur. And also what we did, we also tried to get expert input. And we had strong advocates. So the man you see here is called Pierre Goudiaby Atepa. He's the most renowned, respected Senegalese architect. And he's an he does very great work. And he's also respected in other African countries where he's invited to design, you know, this future, the city of the future, etc. And he's quite respected. And he's been fighting for about 30 years to get the waterfront protected. He's been the first one fighting against this, and he was very happy to have us on board because he said, wow, you guys are great. I've been trying to fight this for so many years and I never got the traction that you got through the internet, through the Twitter and all this international attention, so let's join forces and fight against this. So we had another press conference because we did the first protest, as I said, and after the first protest we had a second one just a week after. We wanted to have a second one just a week after, but it was forbidden. We were not allowed to have a protest. We tried to go on the wall to go an open press conference. We were not allowed. And actually the state positioned some policemen all over the world to prevent us from even coming, taking pictures. If you try to take a picture, they will confiscate your phone. So basically we said, okay, let's think about an alternative strategy. And we decided to have a press conference in a hotel. And he came to the press conference. He actually was among the organizing member. He paid for the place. He paid for, you know, he really is a strong advocate. And this is him showing plans of Dakar and showing literally point by point how the beach has been aggressed. And literally today, we only have 300 meters of beach left for public use, which means that basically in 5 years or 10 years down the road, our children might not even have access to the beach. And the Corniche is so dear to people. If you ask people, they will tell you, I learned to swim on the Corniche. I met my wife at the Corniche. And basically, this is going to disappear. And we are fighting not only to protect the environment, but also because we want to leave a legacy for future generations. So these are strong advocates. And also, as I said, we also had expert input because we want this to be also a fight with facts. And fight with facts mean we also have to consult with people in the community who are respected and who have expertise on that. So here we have an interview with a professor of public law who's talking literally about what the law says, why this is an aggression, quoting specific articles. So it gives us a strong case, strong evidence for backing our fight. And basically, yeah, he's talking about the different law, how they've been processed, and why this is not right from a legal perspective. So when you have this sort of evidence supporting your fight, nobody can say that your fight is illegitimate. It's very legitimate. And now the construction is ongoing, despite what we've said. There have been interviews of the Turkish ambassador, and the ambassador said that basically this is a land that her country has received from the Senegalese authorities. There's nothing illegal about it, and that they are planning to continue with the construction, and that they think our fight should just stop because this is not the first time there has been constructions on the Corniche. So why should we make their embassy the main problem? So basically, there's been some opposition. There've been also interviews with the government, and they are very embarrassed. They don't really want to talk about it. They say, you know, everything has been done according to the law. There's not much we can comment about. So you see that there's a lot of embarrassment here. We also managed to get support from leading artists in the country. So let me show you one video of probably one of the most famous rappers in the country. And they had a very interesting innovation. They are rapping the news every week. Once a week, they have a rap show where they rap everything happening in the country, in Africa, and in the world. And trust me, this is a very, very popular show. People listen to it. Like if you see, they started the second season a few weeks ago, and the video has been seen 10,000 times. And here they give us a push, they give us a strong push by talking about the fight. We are fighting. So basically, if you see, there are two interesting things about what they've just done. So you have the whole group gathering, and they hold what is our hashtag, you know, non au mieux. And what they're singing a traditional Senegalese song, which is a warrior song, which we used to sing against the French colonizers to get our independence. And basically, it's a song about being proud, about loving the land, about protecting the land. And they take the sound tune and they say no to the wall, we want our world back. And I think that's very, very nice. And then the second thing which I find very interesting about what they've done is that in very simple terms, as usual, they managed to bring a complicated issue to people who don't read French, because we have very low literacy rate, actually 40%, and people don't, they can speak, they will hear you speak French, but they wouldn't get what you're saying. And they did this in French, and they also have a Wolof version, which is our native language. And this is the second portion of the video in Wolof, where he's talking about, you know, the wall, etc. So basically, having their support has really been very helpful, because this this rap news is broadcasted on public television once a week, in addition to having their website. So people who didn't know about the fight now know about it, so that is great. All right, so now what are the next steps? Tomorrow, we have another protest at 10 a.m. And basically, if you see in this image, we want the wall to fall, but we can't destroy it physically because that would be illegal, and we don't want to undertake any illegal action. So we've been trying to have very telling images about this. So this is here dies your welfare, basically. And it says no to the right, stand up for your rights tomorrow on April 12th. And this is a march we're having. And the other thing we are doing by way of next step is a photo campaign that we have started on Twitter, and we have a Tumblr feed. And basically the idea is to have people hold pancards saying, don't touch my corniche, don't sell my wall. And we take people from all walks of life, children, adults, etc. So this is silence, they are slaughtering. Basically it's slaughtering. And these are people who hide their face holding the pancart. This is don't ransack our corniche. This picture is our corniche is not for sale. And if you see, this is the corniche actually, and there's a construction building happening. The whole corniche is being sold basically. And here, this is somebody saying, don't touch my corniche again. And this is why a second Berlin Wall in Dakar. And if you see in the rap news portion, they said they want to erect a second Berlin Wall in Dakar. Basically, we see this as an aggression, literally. And this is another pancart that says, because blocking the access of all Senegalese to the waterfront for 4,000 visa seekers just is a nonsense. Because literally, we have 4,000 Senegalese people who go to the Turkish embassy to request for a visa. But the corniche is used by more than 4,000 people. We think the numbers just don't work, and this is a nonsense. So the latest development of this campaign, yesterday there was a TV debate on one of the public shows where we had people who are expert in public law, architects, people who have been fighting for this for a long time, come and talk to the Senegalese people about what is going on. 3 days ago, the Minister of Foreign Affairs made a tweet that got us very excited, and he said on Twitter that the citizens have the right to protest if they're not in agreement, and that negotiations are being held underground, and that we should stay tuned. So we hope that it means something good is happening. And then we're waiting for tomorrow's march. We don't have the authorization yet. We hope to get it, so we'll see. That's the campaign, and I'm very happy to take feedback from you. If you think there are things we should be doing differently, and if you have ideas on how we can improve the campaign, that would be great. And apologies for the English. It's not my first, it's not my second language, so I'm stumbling on words sometimes, but I hope you understood me. Thank you.